Huz, are you ready for another episode?
Nope, you're benched. Brent is back. Hi, Brent.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing? All right. What do you say? We should put Frankie on the bench for now until we're done with today.
We don't need him.
Yeah, don't need you. Sorry, Frankie. Bye. All right, let's do this. Welcome back to Desperate Radio. I'm Haas, and finally, we got our brethren back. Hello, Brent.
I am back. I apologize, you guys. I have been out for multiple weeks working on a series of different projects. And now I'm joining you from this really fake, I don't know, what is this, a record studio album thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Haas didn't like my background, so we're going with this.
I love it. It's a very 90s. I love everything about it, by the way.
I'm all about the vinyl.
Yeah, I'm getting what's that movie from the 90s? Come on, you know which one I'm talking about. Capitol Records, something like that.
Is there a Capitol Records movie? I mean,
I think there is.
I know I'm
don't know.
old, but you're dating me. I'm not that old, I'm telling you.
All right, let's talk about today. I had a whole episode planned for today. I had, Brent and I actually talked about the future of the episodes and what we want to talk about, and we thought it might be a good idea if we start talking about agile principles, safe principles, and say, how do they really work in real life and all that? And, we have planned out every episode, going forward. We're going to just take one of those principles and talk about it and maybe argue about it. I don't know. We'll see. But we're not doing that today, Brent. I'm sorry. Had a message. As you know, Friend Radio is launching something new called the Nexus. And, just testing it out to see who's out there. And there's a reason behind it, right? And I think the reason behind it is our frustration with how agile is practiced in today. We know the market is saturated with a lot of people with a lot of certifications and a lot of titles next to their name. And I don't know about you, Brent, but I feel comfortable enough to answer on your behalf, but I'll let you talk about this where I don't feel that's why I got into agile. That's not why I joined Agile. The principles and the values really spoke to me as a person. Spoke to me at a time in my life where I feel like I needed a powerful message, and I believed in the sales pitch. I believed in it, and that's why when I see it practiced wrong, I get annoyed.
I mean, I think I had a different experience. It ebbed and flowed for me as far as, my the indoctrination of Agile. In the beginning, it was a very new concept for me that, somebody had asked me to incorporate into a company that was getting ready to be acquired, and they wanted to make sure that they had some repeatable process. And so it was forced on me in the very beginning. And then I kind of started to understand it a little bit, and kind of the structure of where, I started out in government. And so government is very command and control. It was definitely, it was over on the defense side. And there was struggle with the autonomy of Agile and things like that. And so I then went and got my SAFe certification out in Boston. And I remember thinking, this shit's never going to work. It just is not going to work in this industry. It's not going to work. Like, I just wasted a week of my time getting this certification. I went and got my PMP. I went and got my SAFe SPC. I went and got all my Scrum CSM. I went and got all of these ISO 9001 or whatever it was. I went nuts on the certification side of things just so that I could have a piece of paper that said that, I have a voice in the room. But it wasn't until later when we started to see some successes that I really started to buy into it. And I think that people keep slamming against that wall. They keep hitting those obstacles of discouragement and leadership not buying into, or the industry not being ready for it, or the tipping point not being there, or there's a million reasons, but it causes some real discouragement, I think, across the industry. But the reality of it is, if you're still doing waterfall and you're still doing some of these other, processes, I don't know how you're surviving in the modern world. I just don't know how you're doing it. Everything is iterative now. So, my experience, I was one of those guys. I really thought it wasn't going to work. I thought this is bogus.
And speaking of a tipping point, there must have been a tipping point for you where you thought to yourself, wow, this does work. And that's when you start seeing not just the value of implementing agile or adopting the mindset in itself, where you started believing in the mindset. You started believing, hey, this works. This works if you give it a chance, because it's not about the framework, it's not about the processes, it's not about the rules, it's not about the how you do something. It's about just the concept of having a mentality and a mindset that says, hey, do better. Hey, can't wait for somebody else to do it for you. Do better. Step up. Be a leader. Because I often say you don't need a title to be a leader. You show leadership by being really good at your job and having accountability and stepping up to the plate where you need it. And I'm gonna get a little nostalgic here for you. Uh, One of the first movies I ever remember watching as a kid. We watch a bunch of movies when we were kids, and there's one movie that sticks out to me that I remember its entirety, and it was Superman 2. I know this is going to sound silly, and this is why I'm wearing the Superman shirt today. By the way, go see Superman. Great movie, very hopeful, great, great, great movie. Anyway, I digress. One of the things in the movie, if you remember this movie from 1978 or 79, whatever it is, he was beaten down by three people, and by three bad people in the movie. He just kept coming back, just kept coming back, just kept coming back. Why? Because of one simple thing. He said, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to step up. And I've had that in me my whole life. Somebody has to do the right thing. You can't wait for the right thing to happen to you. Somebody has to do the right thing. Now, I bring it back because, I think you and I have been through this before, where we've met people where they say, oh, yeah, I know Agile. No, you don't. Oh, I know how to do this. No, you don't. You're not a subject matter expert. We live and breathe this. We saw how it changes people. It's not the systems that it changed. It's the people that change that we work with that showed us that this works. It's the people that we work with and saw them go from almost getting fired to thriving and stepping up where they need to. That's what made us believe in it. With that said, I want to read you an email. As I said, I'm trying to launch something called the Nexus, and I send this to a few people to take a look at it. And the purpose of the Nexus is to basically how to apply Agile the right way, how to fix it. And this man said, and I'm going to paraphrase here. He said, in the last few years, I've noticed businesses desperately trying to rein in agility to meet the thought processes of predictive process control that make them feel comfortable, going through the steps to make it look like agility. As long as they can run their long-term budgets and project designs, they can call it agile. Empirical process control is about build what you need through feedback and minimize the cost and overhead of sticking to a plan is lost to them. They still think they can predict and run a project without understanding things like emergent requirements, unknown requirements, change of market directions, incorporating new customer directions, etc. All at the speed of the marketplace. I lost the faith, not in agility. I just don't believe corporate America wants to move from their belief that everything can be controlled, predicted, and that is inefficient way to build something for a low-cost, fast turnaround. The last step was seeing Agile Alliance bought by the PMI. Now, I might be getting a little emotional, not because of Agile, because this was a good man. This still is a good man. This is a really good man that I know. I've known for years, and we butted heads. We butted heads on fundamentals, on implementations, on certain things. But at the end of the day, he was a really good man that I respected, and I still do till today. And this industry broke him. And that's not what Agile is about. And that's why I feel very strong and emotional about this.
It's a powerful message. I think it resonates for all of us, right? Like, I can remember going to my car and just breaking down and bawling and thinking, what did I do to myself, and why am I here? At the end of the day, we're people, and frankly, sometimes we're a little ugly. And when we're trying to develop a perfect flow of a team, and let's make no mistake of it, that's what we are. We're trying to create teams or teams of teams, or we're trying to create a flow of a direction that we're a team of people are trying to accomplish a goal, whether it's in software, whether it's in legal, whether it's in construction, whatever it is, they're trying to create value as a team. And there's complexities and interdynamics of those teams that are going to, you know, the old saying of a bad apple can ruin the whole bushel or whatever, if you will. Um, People are difficult, and they're tough, and they're, you know, they're what I was back in the day when I was just like, this shit's not gonna work. It's discouraging. I can remember multiple programs where, you know, I would come in and be responsible for doing this huge implementation. And a lot of leaders would pull me aside and go, look, I mean, everything you're saying is great, but did we try that? Like, it's not going to happen. Like, I know you're getting paid to do this, but we don't believe in it anymore. We've lost the faith of all of that. And so, um, I think that the really interesting topic that we're getting into right here is, what do you do when you've lost the faith?
I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to say, what do you do when Agile is hijacked by those that don't deserve to run it or shouldn't know how to run it or shouldn't run it? I'm going to give you another example on top of what my friend said. I was in a meeting, just flying the wall, listening, trying to provide help as much as I can wherever I feel like there's help needed. And I'm going to get a little technical in safe and sizing and all that crap. They were reviewing a feature, and the feature was sized at whatever number it was. And as it was sized, the discussion was, well, we need 2 more spikes to explore what options we need to implement. To which I replied, and I could be wrong. Listen, I might be right, I might be wrong. You may like me, you may hate me, but I'm perfect for somebody. And that's why I say this. They came into this meeting with a sized feature that still needed some discovery and some spikes and some research. In my opinion, you shouldn't be sizing something that you still have to research or do a spike on. That's just how I feel. They gave it a size. Okay. And I recommended, do me a favor. Once you're done with your research, can you revisit the sizing? Because the more the unknown, the higher the number. And that number seems pretty low for something you still have to research, especially that you have to do 2 researches on, 2 separate spikes on. Can you just revisit it? As a matter of fact, I'd argue that if you are going to do that kind of research, I wouldn't recommend sizing it until you know what you're sizing. And at that point, a lead, one of those people that you and I have dealt with in the past who say, I know Agile, said, well, I disagree. I don't think you should not size, and you can't size a higher number willy-nilly just because you don't know. It took every power in me, in my mind and my tongue, to hold it back from saying, shut the up. You don't know this. I do. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people that are doing the work for you already know this. And when somebody like you come in and say, you're doing Agile wrong, no, sir, or no, ma'am, you don't know Agile. You don't know the system. You don't know the process or the framework enough for you to make that kind of input. Let the people that have the answer do their job. Listen, I'm never going to be a Jeff Bezos. I'm never going to be an Elon Musk, and I'm okay with that. A lot of us, believe it or not, are not looking to be those magnificent type of pioneers that set out the world to change it. No, but a lot of us know what we're doing, and we're good at what we do. So give us the autonomy to be good at what we do. Give us the autonomy and the respect that we deserve to do the job, because a lot of us want to be really good at what we do. And a lot of us can do it if you just give us that room to breathe.
Obviously, we're very passionate about this topic. And I think that, you know, reading emails like that and stuff, will kind of pulls on some heartstrings a little bit of stuff we run into. It's a frustrating industry. It really, really is. And you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to bash your head against a wall, and you're just going to feel the grunt of the pain every single time. And sometimes you're going to get through. I think we have to hold faith, though. Like, you're going to get through. You're gonna make it. The only way you're going to do it, though, is together. Now, sometimes some team members may not make it, but you got to figure out that love language of your team eventually. And it's not always exactly the same. Every single team seems to be a little bit different. For me, I've found that, you know, some teams really get into having fun together and doing themes. Some teams really get into the real technical jive. They want to get nerded out on some of the stuff. Some teams want to get they're sports oriented and they like to bring in sports team theme type stuff with them. Some teams want to, they just want to take a afternoon walk for 15 minutes every day, and they'll schedule that. Whatever works for those teams to make them be able to focus and play together and come to an agreement and keep it simple and abide by the 12 principles of Agile, as well as, following in the manifesto and doing, those are designed for a reason. Like you have to have these things. People read them and they glaze them over, right? Like everybody's opened the manifesto.org and said, cool, this over that, this whatever, but they don't adapt it as a mindset. They don't realize that is there to give you the guidelines to avoid what exactly the bashing your head in to, or the 12 principles, for example, being that we want to keep this very simple and straightforward. And we want to make sure that the teams are working regularly with each other and over the shoulder with says business owners and 12 principles, but that they're having regular contact. And you get into these are all designed that we adapt to this mindset to avoid exactly what that email is. And if you didn't read it and you just said, look, I understood these 12 principles in this manifesto so that I could pass the test, then you didn't get it.
100%. Man, I can have said, I've been saying this for a while, and you just hit on it again. People that just take it to pass the test and they don't apply it. It's not just the principles, it's the mechanics of the framework. Whichever framework, even waterfall. I've said it from day one. Waterfall can work if you apply it correctly, because at the end of the day, the system is supposed to work for you. You're not supposed to work for the system. And I think what really annoyed me about this, and the reason I'm very passionate, is because not only is this a good friend of mine and somebody that I respect, but it is something that I hear constantly. People getting tired, people getting drained, people getting just giving up on the faith that this is actually something that works. The reason I get annoyed is because you have companies and leaders. I'm not going to call them leaders. CEOs or CFOs or whatever.
Why are you looking at me? It feels personal. I don't want to.
All kidding aside, you're a leader that you and I became friends because of your vision and your understanding of how the framework works, but also what the mentality is. Our leadership that you and I worked for, we're still friends with till today, even though you and I no longer work together in the same environment, right? I'm still friends with those folks. Why? Because we share the same mindset. But I am annoyed at certain companies, and maybe we can address this a little bit, or certain CEOs or VPs who take the idea of Agile, say, oh yeah, we implement Agile here, but we kind of tuned it a little bit to fit our need. No, you took it, you mangled it, you abused it, you lied to people and told them that this is what you do, and in reality is just traditional chaos that is masked with Agile, that you just labeled it Agile, which is not.
Well, I think that Agile, while it's not written, it sort of is, and it has a layer of ethics applied to it, and you have to embody those ethics. Let's talk about pop culture today. If you want to talk about a CEO that didn't abide by his ethics, it was called, was it the Coldplay concert?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to put that up. Yeah, people are going to watch it. I'm going to put that up.
Look at these two. All right, come on. You okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
I don't know how much this has to do with Agile, but I would say that your integrity has been completely compromised. I know I'm calling you out on YouTube. Look, at the end of the day, for people to respect you as a leader in any organization, regardless if they're doing Agile or software or anything like that, you need to embody that 24/7. This dude.
Yeah. The autonomy, the trust. And I go back to Dean Leffingwell again. He is one of my favorite people, honestly, because he said two things that just make sense to me. The first thing that he said was, when you get certified, he says, hey, trust the people that you hired. You hired them for a reason, right? As soon as you get certified, he sends you that video and he says, you have to learn how to trust the people that you hired. right? That's one of the things that he says. Another thing that he says is that if you're taking what we put out there as essential or big picture safe or whatever the case may be as a prescription, that stuff is arbitrary. It's not meant for you to follow fundamentally. It's meant for you to use it as a guidance and as an example of how you should do things.
Yeah, what was the other thing he says? Is nothing better than a team except for a team of teams.
Yes. Yeah, he's a wise guy. I mean, I'm sorry. He's not a wise guy. He's a wise man.
Yeah, well, and I like to pick on him. Sorry if you watch this, Dean. I hope you do. I like to pick on him because I mean, look, the guy was, I think, and is a very, you're right. He's very smart, very educated. And what he did, I thought was brilliant was a lot of the concepts of scaled agile, for example, are not original concepts. And when I do my trainings don't take away my SPC, Dean. Uh, when I do my trainings though, I tell everybody like, look, Dean didn't create this, right? Like this has been around for some time, XP or continuous delivery pipeline in some fashion, whether it was software factory, whatever, or these concepts of story pointing or Fibonacci or like all of the stuff that's coming into his big picture is a bunch of best practices that have been created and refined from everywhere from Japan to Australia with Atlassian to US to Ford Industries, and they're like he's taken all of these agile principles and agile concepts and best practices, and what he did really well was he created a big picture and said, I'll take a little bit of this, I'll take a little bit of that, I'll take a little, and he made a bit of a masterpiece in some ways. It doesn't fit for every single person, but he's getting better at actually finding ways that will adapt for every single model. There's another version that's coming out now that I'm pretty excited about. But that's brilliant. But you had to have actually gone out and read all of those books, understood all of those best practices, understood how that they would play with each other really well. And so while I like to pick on him to say he's not original, in a lot of ways he is, to be able to say, you had the cheese to the hamburger, you had the meat, you had the bun, you had the pickles. Let's make ourselves a cheeseburger, man. And he made that big picture.
Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, listen, Lean Six Sigma has been around for some time, way before SAFe was around. Tahishi Ono, the godfather of value streams, right? We'll say that's not his real title, but Tahishi Ono, who created the Toyota system, was around and I believe passed away before even SAFe was around. Okay. So all the ideas were there. What I enjoy about somebody like Dean Leffingwell and SAFe and what appeals to me, I've always said this, when you look at Agile, when I was researching Agile and processes and frameworks and whatnot to see what fits, SAFe puts it in a picture that makes sense. It takes the puzzle pieces and makes them fit together. Does less work? LESS? Yes. Does Scrum at Scale work? Sure. Does Lean Sigma 6 work? Obviously. All these work.
Out there will tell you that it does.
What appealed to me is the same that appealed to you, is that this makes sense because it's transferable. It's customizable. It's not prescription, like Dean said.
I loved that he brought it all to one place, right? I mean, for me, I could learn about all of these, but so a lot of in the industry, there's a lot of flack about whether you're a SAFe guy or girl, or if you're a Scrum person or a PMP person, and the reality of it is that you don't have to. They treat it like it's like religion or something. Like you have to be, this or that or this or that. But in reality of it is that you can get all of those best practices, and SAFe does a really good job at that. I have to give them credit where they bring it all in, a lot of it, and there's still more out there. But they bring a lot of it into a central place that you can understand it and understand how it plays together. And so I have to give props. Again, Dean, don't take away my SPC. I'm singing your praise. I love my SPC and my ASPC and all that stuff, but it gives it a central place where he's done a lot of the research, he's done a lot of the work, and his entire organization now has done it, and he sits at the helm of that. But they brought it to one place where you can understand, and they'll even point you to where, look, if you want to know more about this, go read this book, or But it's nice to say you don't have to be just signed up for this one type of implementation or best practice. And when I went and got certified and I'm certified in quite a few different things, where I found with SAFe, since we're on the SAFe topic, was that I could pick and choose a little bit of those best practices and utilize them in the industry for what they're ready for. Some people weren't ready for, the story point evaluation in Fibonacci, for example. Some people weren't ready for user acceptance criteria, or they weren't ready. Like, you can ease into it in some way, fashion, in some way, shape, or form. Sorry. Once you understand all of it, and SAFe does a great job bringing it all.
Again, understanding it. Why are we doing this? Why are we here? And why are we doing this? Why do we size this way? Why do we size this way? Why do we need a value stream map? Why do we need customer journey map? I understand the purpose of it. It may seem ridiculous to some that you have to explain the purpose of a customer journey map or a value stream map. But you know what? Some people don't know. I'll give you a funny story. The first time I ever went camping ever in my life was with my wife when we first started dating. And as we're leaving, she gave me a bucket full of dishes. And this is roughing it, like in the wilderness. She said, "Here are the dishes. Can you wash those?" I said, "Absolutely." And she said, "The water's right there." And I walked over, and it's just what do they call it? The pump thing where you pump the water. And I looked at it like I am from a different planet. I said, I don't know what to do here. I'm used to a sink and
Oh, you mean like one of those where you have to like literally like get it going? Yeah.
yes. So I didn't know what to do. And she looked at me like I'm an alien. And to every sense in the word, I was at that point. All this was alien to me. I just never done it before. And I'm at 40 something and I don't know what I was looking at. Now, I could have given it a shot, but I might have messed it up because I'm sure I would have been told, "Hey, that's not how you do it." So if you meet somebody that doesn't know something about what you practice, don't go so hard on them. And also, try to explain it to them. Explain to them, why is it needed this way? Why is it done that way? Don't just say, because the book said it, or don't just say, because we told you to. And I think that goes back to what my friend was saying about how companies just take agile, abuse it, and remodel it after what they think is agile, and it's not agile, it's not SAFe, it's not less, it's not Scrum at org at Scrum at scale. It's not. It's somebody's version of, I'm just going to hijack this and label it agile so people can shut up and feel empowered. When in reality, you don't have the confidence or the foresight or the vision to trust your people to do the right thing.
I think where it breaks down is when distrust creeps its way into the process. When they fire it, and this happens all the time, right? Where they'll say, "Great, thanks for the estimate. Now I'm going to give you our estimate," or "Thanks for, developing against that in the way that you thought was, the most appropriate way. But now I'm going to tell you how you did it wrong."
Absolutely. Can I add one to that? Thanks for the estimate. We're going to go ahead and do that as a deadline.
Totally. When distrust creeps its way into the process, look, you're going to mess up. You're going to miss deadlines sometimes. You're going to try not to. You're going to create as much of a predictability as you can. You're shooting for above 80%. A lot of people are, or when they want to say predictability needs to be 100% all the time. It's tough. It's never going to happen. I don't know anybody that's perfect. You show me one perfect human being and I will eat my words. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we beat this one to death. We've gotten some of our angst out. We were feeling a little. I was feeling emotional. I was feeling pretty emotional. I'm very passionate.
I was nervous about doing this episode. I'm like, "Ooh, how's it gonna be
Yeah,
upset?"
for those who know me, you just saw the real side of me. I'm an incredibly passionate person. I love hard and I fight hard, and I'm like Superman. I fight for what's right. That's my hero. That's my threshold. Somebody's got to do it, and I'm not gonna let somebody else do it. Somebody's got to step up. This is why we started this whole damn thing. Somebody's got to talk about the shit that nobody wants to talk about. This is the shit that nobody wants to talk about. Companies hijacking agile and ideas.
I think they talk about it, but I think it's behind closed doors. I think that what would have been great for me if I ever had ran into this this podcast years ago would have been that maybe I'm not losing my mind. Maybe I'm not the only one that thinks this is nuts. Maybe I'm not the only one that struggles. There's this misconception that's out there that I thought, well, I'm just a junior baby scrum master. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I don't understand this as well as everybody else. And I can remember even getting into government when there's a million acronyms in government, right? They're flying by you 1,000 miles an hour as you're sitting there trying to look up every single time somebody says an acronym. You're going to get lost and then you lose the whole conversation. And I can remember thinking, I'm not keeping up with this. And so if I could go back to a podcast and say, look, you're not dumb, you're not slow, you're not behind the times, and you're not wrong. What's actually happening is what's happening to everyone. You just don't realize it.
Yes.
It's going to take some time. You're going to be okay. But you're also going to run into a lot of brick walls and it's going to hurt.
And there are communities out there that will support you, just listen to you, almost like group therapy. I mean, if nothing else, this is one of them right here. But you got your Lean Coffee, your message boards on Safe or Scrum.org or Scrum Alliance and whoever else. Check out your local Agile chapters. I'll bet you there's anybody there that's going to say, hey, yeah, we feel this all the time. And then you're going to get into a conversation with a bunch of Agiles who say, I'm having the same problem, or I've had the same problem and this is how I do it, or this is what I dealt with it. At the end of the day, not a popular opinion, you just may be in the wrong environment. And I know that it's tough out there right now to find a new job. Economy is looking bleak, whatever else may be happening. But there's somebody out there looking for you. I'm going to go back to saying this. I might be right. I might be wrong, but I'm perfect for somebody. And so are you.
Coming from somewhere that I've ran into a bunch of these circumstances, but and for the last decade in the industry, I can tell you that I spend a lot of time talking to people that are just frustrated, just calling me up going, hey, they're not doing this right and I'm upset, or take my side on this. Go tell them, Brent. And I'm like, wait. First off, you have to kind of adapt your own mindset. You have to understand that, it's okay to incrementally change things. And it's okay to understand that people don't understand. And it's okay to try and build on that trust and understand it's not going to be perfect at the beginning. So I think that hopefully maybe this podcast gives us some people that are out there that can't just pick up the phone and call up, one of the supervisors and say, hey, take my side. Because generally that's not what I'm doing. I'm usually just kind of the therapy that says, hey, hold on, we can do this together. And that's really ultimately what we're trying to do. But hopefully this finds you as maybe somewhat of a comic relief to understand that there is difficulty in doing this.
You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone.
You're going to get there though. You're going to get there. And the passion, what I love when people call me and they're like, I want this to be right. And they're not doing it right. The passion, the worst thing you can do when you're giving them advice is to alleviate that passion. You want them to have that. You want them to just strive for that perfection. But you also have to understand that they're not going to get it right out the gate. It's tricky. So keep the energy alive, keep the passion alive, keep striving towards that, but understand that it's going to take a little bit of time and you'll be okay.
That was incredibly well put. What about you, Frankie? Do you have anything to say to this conversation? I know you haven't been really paying attention.
If you enjoyed hanging out with us today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who could use a little positivity. And if you want to connect or be a guest on the show, just reach out. You can reach out through our website or just drop us a message on social media. We're always happy to hear from you and keep the conversation going.
Find us at deadsprintradio.com or on YouTube at Deadspring Radio or on Instagram at Deadspring Radio. X coming soon. We're still updating some of our platforms, and check out the Nexus. I know it's a cheap plug, but please check out the Nexus. It literally does address everything that we just talked about today. It's something that we're very proud of, and we're hoping it launches and catches on. So, any last words, Brent?
No, I'm gonna catch a Coldplay concert.
Oh, this is horrible.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for letting us vent a little bit. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your listening pleasure. My name is Haas, and this has been Deathprint Radio. Ready? 3. Nope. That's not it.
You guys have fun recording. Enjoy the episode.
Did you hear that? Is he coming? So confused. I was like, all right, yeah. Love it.
He still has to respond eventually at one point, but I might bring him back later on for like a little bit of like whatever.
So was he actually on the call?
Yeah, just now.
Oh, I thought you had that pre-recorded.
Mall rats. Come on, let's just sign them off one after another. Come on.
Dude, I loved Mall Rats. That was a good one. Yes. That was, gosh, man, you're dating us.